Up, everybody? My name's Eric Holland, and before we jump into the slides, give you a quick intro on me so you know I'm not a total fraud standing up here. I've been calling myself a product marketer for about 6 years. Half of that was with manufacturing. The other half has been in tech. In the last 10 or so months, I've been a consultant at Klue, if you're familiar with them. I'm doing a variety of product marketing stuff and the creator of Klue's Demo Arena. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the presentation. But that leads me to my thought process that one demo is just not enough. So I've realized when I look at the landscape of how basically buyers interact with B2B SaaS products, there is a massive disconnect into their ability to understand what it does, why there's value. And when I took a little bit deep further, Gartner helped me out and told me that 75% of buyers don't want to talk to a salesperson. I'm definitely in that 75%. And the Navattic team helped me out with the other point, and less than 10% of us actually have a product or CTA. And then that leads me to the bigger problem, and it's everyone else in that 9%. So there's probably some of you in here who I'm about to call out. So if you want to hit the next slide, Natalie. I did some observations, and so competitor of Klue, checked out Crayon. They had one tour. My boy Mark, at User Evidence, he only had one tour on his website a couple weeks ago. I'm going to throw some shade at Klue because when I started there, they just had tours on product pages. Sendoso, same thing. You can go to the next one. Our friends at Lattice, I don't know what Lattice does, but they only have one tour to tell me what they do. And Clary, I still have no freaking idea what Clary does, but they do have one tour on their website, which is great. And that leads me to the problem. You've got too many personas, you've got too many features, and you've got too many segments for one product tour. All right, so ultimately I came up with the idea, let's get rid of the personas, for the one size fits all. Natalie, you can go next. And we'll make tours for each persona that you have. Instead of the feature route on tours, we're going to base them off use cases that people are actually going to be using in the product. And then let's not focus on every single segment that's not making us money. Let's just focus on the big ones that are driving the most opportunity for us. So that brings me to the demo arena. And I want to basically frame that now as use case demo centers. And that's how I looked at this. We're going to build this as a use case demo center. And we created the Demo Arena a few months ago. It's been up for about 60 days, a little bit more. And as you can see here, we built 14 different product tours across 4 different personas. And it's basically become one centralized asset for everyone in the buyer journey. Public facing, we don't have any gates. I don't believe in gated content. And then that's my very rudimentary GIF of it. But you can check it out at klue.com/demo arena. Now, if you want to check. And then I think this is the money shot. This is why this all matters for all of us. So, like I said, these stats were from 60 days at launch. If you look before launch, we had a pretty decent engagement level. But then now, after we launch it, 50% of all of our tour visits come directly from the Demo Arena. The demo request is pretty big, and depending on your business, that may look small, that may look huge, but that's about 3 times more than what we were getting across all the product pages combined. So really cool, and what's not on there is we have about almost 3 times the conversion rate. So we're getting more people who are actually interested in our product who are making it to the op stage instead of getting disqualified. As a product marketer, one of the hardest things I think all of us have to do is attribute our work. And so with a little bit of magic from my RevOps team and the integration stuff that Navattic already has going on, we've easily attributed over $550,000 to new pipeline. And then 500 and plus companies now have actually engaged with it. So before we didn't know who was really engaging with the products, and now we know over 500 companies have actually been exposed to Klue, and whether they are a fit or not, they've found out we're qualified or should disqualify themselves. And lastly, a lot more engagement from the tours. Right. So before launch, we're about 83 different users would show up at a given month. And now we're pushing 250. Last week 2 weeks ago we did a product launch, and that was well over 300. So having that central place for your tours and then segmented out has really been super helpful for us. And then if you want to move to the next one. You guys may have seen some other demo centers out there. The difference is, real specifically, I'm building mine based off use cases. So it's really for your best fit champions, those influencers and those other decision makers, and not the Franken marketer persona that your founder's trying to create. It's really to help them get familiar with your product and then help obviously qualify or disqualify themselves. And lastly, it's different because it's that single product-led asset for everyone in the buyer journey, not just one of them. So I want to leave you guys with a little bit of how to do this if you're interested on building one yourself. So there's 4 kind of steps to this process. First, you got to start with the planning, and I learned very easily you got to get some executive buy-in, right? That's like step 1 here. And then work with your sales team and figure out what are those key segments, what are those key personas that you need to make tours for, instead of just everyone under the sun. Define those use cases and then get that final sign-off on the project plan. Real big for actually getting that done in a less than 2-month period. And then if you want to go to the visualizing piece, work on getting a wireframe over to your design team, and then draft the tours first. I like to use Canva and just build them out as slides. It makes it really easy to visualize how it would kind of look as a Navattic tour. Go again, get sign off from your sponsor on this, and lastly, pick a name for it. So Demo Arena is catching on in some smaller circles. It's very wise not to just call it a demo center. Give your new asset some personality and something that people will remember it for. And then when actually making this thing come to life, get those designs approved. So that big part was like, how are we going to make these tours become something that people can navigate on and actually use as a sales asset? Then do the hard work, build those tours. Test the page. That was really important, and actually a misstep for us. We have some UX and UI work we want to redo, and so a big step there. Do not forget that step, and then hook it up to your CRM. That's where all that data that I was showing you on that previous slide. It's really easy for me. I've got a dashboard in HubSpot. I see all that stuff, and don't have to fetch for all this information on the presentation. And lastly, launch it. So test out that connection, make sure it works. We spent about 2 weeks making sure things were working. And basically when you launch it, you want to make sure you're capturing all that activity and don't let any slip through. Build yourself a dashboard. Get your SDRs and your AE team prepared. I cannot make this statement hard enough. You built this great asset. How is it involved in their workflow, right? You can't just drop it in their lap and say, let's use this. And then lastly, put in your main navigation. This is like key and something that we didn't do originally at Klue, but we've just started doing, and the test results are awesome so far in the first few weeks. But it's supposed to be a central asset, and if they can't find it, what's the point of it being central, right? So put in your main nav right next to your Get a Demo button. And yeah, that's it. That's how you guys can make your demo center. So lastly, got a little note from my ops guy in case anyone's really excited about this and wants to attribute their tours. You'll get the slide after all this, but this is basically what he did to make sure that we could, one, get the HubSpot data flowing in, and then anyone who has already been flagged at Klue in our CRM and goes through a tour, we can catch them without them having to fill out the form. So that's how you do that. And then lastly, I kind of have one question. Does anyone need help tackling this type of project? And a quick drum roll. Because as of today, we are officially launching Demo Dash with Jason Oakley and myself. So if you need help building your Navattic tours, we'll map them out for you, build the tours, and make sure that you can attribute your impact to them. So that's freshly open. And one more slide, if you guys want to check out our site, there's the link. Check us out. Hopefully we'll be seeing some leads come through by the end of today. And that's it.